Today, let's dive into the exciting world of Formula One, where Mercedes and McLaren are battling it out in the 2023 season. This season has been a roller coaster ride filled with twists, turns, and a whole lot of determination. First up, Mercedes. Picture this. They've got this car called the W14, and it's been a bit of a wild ride. It didn't come out of the gates like a superstar, but here's the plot twist. They're not giving up on it. They believe in second chances, and they're determined to make it work. So what's the deal with this season? Well, they're gunning for that second place in the constructor standings, but they're not entirely sure if they can pull it off. These upgrades they're cooking up might just give them the edge over Ferrari. And guess what? There's a bonus. These improvements are like a crash course for building their car for next year. Let's hear it from Rosie Waite, the head of race strategy at Mercedes. These folks used to be the kings, snagging the constructors' title from 2014 to 2021. But then, in 2022, Red Bull swooped in and took the crown. Blame it on some new rules. That year, Mercedes found themselves in third place, and that's not a spot they're used to. So, what did they do? They decided to give their current car, the W14, a facelift. After a shaky start to the season, they're making progress, but they haven't clinched a victory just yet. Now, the real battle is for that second spot in the team championship, and their fiercest rivals are none other than Ferrari. But Rosie Waite isn't just about eyeing the future with the W15. She's all about putting in the work on the W14 for the rest of the season. And it's not just about the next season. It's about fine-tuning the current car to make it faster and, more importantly, to gather crucial insights for the 2024 car. Andrew Chauvelin, Mercedes trackside engineering director, is also in the mix. He's pumped about the projects they're cooking up. Their mission? To close the gap between them and Red Bull. They've made some improvements this year, but there's still more speed to uncover. But let's talk about their latest adventures in the Japanese Grand Prix. It didn't quite go as planned. They realized they're not Speedy Gonzalez compared to Red Bull. Winning races consistently next year seems like a daunting task, especially when they're trailing behind Red Bull by quite a margin in the Constructor Championship. So, what happened in Japan? Suzuka, the track where the Japanese Grand Prix revs up, is quite a handful. It's got all kinds of corners, including high-speed sections. Mercedes tried to tweak their car setup, but Lewis Hamilton found it to be a bit tricky. He said that it had balance but lacked grip, especially in that pesky first sector, which is one of the most challenging on the calendar. In that part of the track, Mercedes just couldn't keep up with Red Bull's precision. The Japanese Grand Prix was like a litmus test for Mercedes, especially in the first sector. And guess what? They didn't exactly nail it. They set only the 5th best time and were neck and neck with teams like Aston Martin and Ferrari. But Red Bull and McLaren? They left Mercedes in the dust when it came to high-speed corners. It's like they had a secret recipe for downforce, especially when they rode low. Those higher speeds triggered some cool ground effects under their cars, and Mercedes just wasn't quite there yet. Here's the deal. Mercedes has been grappling with the ground effect regulations introduced in 2022. They've been the kings of Formula One, but some experts, like our very own XF1 technical director, Gary Anderson, aren't entirely convinced that Mercedes has cracked the code when it comes to understanding these new cars. They dominated the scene before these regulations, but the question is whether they truly grasped the intricacies required to build a fast enough car to compete for the championship. One of Mercedes' struggles compared to Red Bull is their drag. Red Bull seems to have nailed it in that department, but the issues in the first 2 sectors of the track point to a deeper problem. It's not as simple as just slapping on more rear downforce. The real challenge is maintaining that sweet balance across a range of ride heights. Technically speaking, Mercedes needs to shift the aerodynamic center of pressure rearward at high speeds. It's like giving your car a sturdy rudder for cruising on the highway. But here's the catch. Mercedes shines when they've got their ride height up high. That's when they rule the slower corners. Lewis Hamilton, the star driver at Mercedes, isn't exactly thrilled with the situation. He's been quite vocal about wanting some changes after Japan. He believes these next 6 months need to be a massive period of development for the team. But there's a hitch. Some significant aspects of the car's design are pretty much locked in, which means they can't just hit the reset button. Lewis is a tad frustrated because he feels like his feedback over the last 18 months hasn't been acted upon quickly enough. Hamilton's talking about revamping the cockpit position and shaking things up with the side pods. He's confident that Mercedes can make these changes, but they've got to tread carefully. They don't want to solve one problem and create a new one. Lewis is emphasizing that the choices they make now are pivotal for Mercedes' future performance. They've got a vision, and they hope it'll result in a car that consistently performs well under various conditions. But the Japanese Grand Prix showed them that there are still plenty of challenges to overcome. Now, the big question is whether Mercedes and Lewis can grab that second spot without slipping behind in the new season.
And then in this past week, it's been so exciting because you're seeing all these elements that they've been working on in the virtual world brought into reality. And you know, we've had these problems that we faced last year, and we've gone round and round and round trying to understand what those are and how we can fix those. Yeah, and this is the most exciting period of time.
It's looking promising, but it's not just up to Mercedes. The other teams aren't going to sit around twiddling their thumbs while Mercedes plays catch-up. It's going to be an exciting race to the finish line. But folks, the drama doesn't stop at Mercedes. Enter McLaren, the other side of this thrilling Formula One story. These guys have had one heck of a comeback this season. Things started a bit shaky, but they've made a roaring return. It's like working on your car in your garage, fine-tuning the engine and adding some cool modifications. That's what McLaren has been up to. Their journey started with improvements from the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and they haven't looked back. They've been tinkering with their car's front wing, optimizing it to promote more outwash and let their dive plane shine. And it's not just one part of the car. They're leaving no stone unturned. They've given their side pods a facelift, making sure more airflow flows down the side channel and glides over the back area of the floor. All these changes are aimed at maximizing airflow, unlocking the best performance from their car, and turning it into a true speed demon. Now, when they hit the Japanese Grand Prix, you can bet they'll be revved up and ready to go. Their strategy is clear: quick, flowing turns, underbody downforce, and two drivers who are hungry for victory. Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo are on a mission to conquer those racetracks. It's like preparing a gourmet meal, where every ingredient needs to be just right for that perfect taste. That's exactly what McLaren is cooking up. And when we talk about McLaren, the Japanese Grand Prix is shaping up to be a showdown of epic proportions. Max Verstappen, the man leading the championship, is keeping a close eye on McLaren, especially Lando Norris. He sees Norris as a potential threat in qualifying, and that's where the chess match begins. It's all about making the right moves to secure that pole position. George Russell, driving for Mercedes, also believes McLaren is going to shine, especially in those high-speed corners. It's like they've got rockets strapped to their cars. Take Silverstone, for example. In those blazing 230km/h region corners, they were on fire. They outpaced most of the field, even leaving Red Bull in the dust. So McLaren is no joke, and they're ready to bring the heat. All in all, both Mercedes and McLaren are on a mission of improvement. Mercedes is showing the W14 some love, refusing to give up on it, and making progress. Meanwhile, McLaren is tinkering with their car's aerodynamics like pros, squeezing out every ounce of speed. The rest of the season is an exciting question mark, and that's what makes Formula One so darn thrilling. Get ready for an epic showdown on the track. It's going to be a wild ride. So there you have it, folks. The exciting world of Formula One, where Mercedes and McLaren are battling it out in the 2023 season. It's a tale of determination, innovation, and a burning desire for victory. Whether it's Mercedes fine-tuning the W14 or McLaren optimizing their aerodynamics, one thing's for sure: the race is on, and it's going to be an electrifying journey to the finish line. And that's the video, folks. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell to stay updated. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.